What's happening? What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Wilbur and Gold Show. I'm your host, Will Dalton, a.k.a. Wilbur and Gold. On a Thursday, I want to say. So I have this bad habit right now. So I have this weird habit. Sorry, I was eating pretzels. So, for a third time, I have this weird habit where, and it's mostly I notice it right before like I'm doing a show, because I don't know, I guess it's like a habit where like on my intro, we're like, welcome in on whatever day it is, today's a Thursday. So I do that, and I have this habit where, like, if I'm, like, mid-thought, and I'm like, wait, what day is it? I keep looking at my watch. Now, if you'll notice, this does not have the date on it. This is not an Apple Watch. I used to have an Apple Watch, which is why I'm kind of in that bad habit of, wait, what day is it? Gold, metal, that nothing. So I kind of have this habit, but it is Thursday, so hope you're doing well. Appreciate all of you who viewed yesterday's episode. Didn't really get into a whole lot other than just kind of a rant about, the content that I'm kind of working on right now to bring to the channel. And I actually had some stuff I wanted to get into yesterday, but I ran out of time. And so I got it ready for today. Just some stuff I jotted down here. Actually, this one is actually for the show, the ACC show I was telling you guys about. I actually literally 15 minutes ago just got off the air because I do that one Tuesdays and Thursdays, 11 to 12 Eastern time. Chris Landry Football Twitch. If you want to check us out, appreciate that. So I'm coming in right from that. So I've already got my ACC stuff here, so I might dig into that a little bit. But we're going to talk a little sports. Going to talk a little sports cards. Going to talk a little Dak Prescott. Going to talk a little Star Wars because I promised you guys this. Now, I actually answered this because the question was, I got a question from a TikTok that I did. Somebody commented and asked me if I could plan my dream Star Wars trilogy, or if you could do a trilogy, what would you do? So I answered the question through TikTok form yesterday. But I wanted to make it a topic because on a TikTok I only get 60 seconds, so I don't get to go in as much. I swear to God, am I the only one that does this? Like, so whether it's like a TikTok or a Snapchat, it's less on Snapchat stories, I guess, but you do have a time limit technically on that. Like you get about 4 or 5, little 15-second slides into a story, they'll cut you off. It's like, or Twitter, when you're trying to type something in depth, it's like, but I get it more so now on video because like I tend to try to really go in, especially with Star Wars, because like I just have so much fucking to say. I try to really go in depth on something and get into it, and it's like, fuck, I'm running out of time. It's like I don't get everything I wanted to, so I wanted to go a little more in depth, kind of let the response breathe a little bit this time. So that's actually going to be a big chunk as we get into it. But I will start here since this is, this is a topic I was just kind of ranting about on the ACC show. And, I don't know if you noticed, but I am a Carolina fan. So, Duke, Carolina. I've talked about this multiple times on the ACC show, but I wanted to kind of bring it up here too for you guys. And this is episode 22. This is episode 22 of the Wilbur and Gold Show. I always like to throw that in there too. And I just happen to be like, you're going to notice this about me as we really start to do more episodes here. I tend to be, I'm a lot more improv now. I'm a lot more natural and just straight up authentic and improv again than I was, kind of when I first started the show. And I mean, even a year ago, I tried. So like, let me explain something about me and how I see. And this is like a case in point of what I'm talking about here. I tend to really get off topic. Not even so much off topic, but the topic I'm talking about will lead to a little side topic. So we'll take a little side turn here. And then gradually I'll work my way back and we'll kind of get back. And it's like, so I tend to do that from time to time. So, I guess a little look into how I plan content for shows and stuff, if you were curious. So literally, I have some bullet points and stuff down, but I barely even look at it. And really the only thing I do with bullet points is just so I kind of, if I don't have anything, like I just kind of want to get on air and just start talking and go, I won't. But, usually I'll have, a handful of bullet points that I'll write down, just stuff that I want to remind myself, like, all right, I did want to talk about, because I tend to get off, track and kind of go a little improv. And so I got to look, oh yeah, I wanted to get into that. So I'll write little bullet points down, just to remind myself, all right, wanted to hit the Duke Carolina, wanted to hit the Dak Prescott, wanted to hit the Star Wars thing. But other than that, unless I have like an important little piece of information, like in sports, a stat line or just something that that could be important to bring up that I wanted to introduce into the conversation, like I might put that down just to kind of remember, all right, that was an important point I wanted to hit. But other than that, like I just stick to what I know. And I think that's one thing that people screw up with on their content and on shows. I know you see it a lot in sports media. People, the best way to make yourself look like an ass is to start ranting and putting stakes in the ground about stuff you have no fucking clue what you're talking about. And that I know the audience can smell it when you're doing it, especially if the audience is like a diehard fan and like they know a lot about what you are trying to rant about, with which you know nothing. They can smell it and see it from a mile away. You look like you're kind of like having a maneuver. It's like you're pulling shit out of your ass, as opposed to, and I guess this is a big reason why I've kind of decided to just, and I think it's me naturally, but I've decided to embrace more so of wanting to do more improv and not be so just buttoned up and calculated here. It's just like, if I don't know, I'm just going to tell you, like, it's not something I spend a lot of time on. Like, I honestly don't know. But when and for the most part, I'm just going to stick to stuff that I know. And it actually makes your points more valid, because the audience knows with that level of authenticity and transparency, they know, like, all right, if he's telling me, like, I don't know on this, when he's actually going in depth on this is some legit stuff. Like, to me, I think that builds credibility. So take that for what it's worth. But yeah, that's just kind of how I do content. So literally me explaining to you how I go improv with that is literally case in point, me going improv. So because I started out with Duke Carolina. So I'm calling Duke Carolina the Bubble Bowl. And the reason I'm calling it the Bubble Bowl is, if you follow college basketball specifically, you know this already. The bubble is what they refer to as the NCAA tournament, essentially. You getting in to the NCAA tournament. It's what they call the bubble conversation, or you're on the bubble, or the bubble watch. So right now, Duke they're on the come up. They're doing a lot better, but they were having, record-wise, they're having one of the worst seasons they've had in memory. Now, they are getting a lot better, and they're kind of building some momentum. And then Carolina, on the other hand, they're having an okay year. It's like I was talking about on the ACC show. It's like, I swear, and you Carolina fans, you can relate to that. It's like we're on a roller coaster ride right now. It's like we'll be going, oh, all right, we're looking pretty good. Oh, what the hell is that? Oh, okay, they're getting it together. Oh, we're on the track now. Oh, Jesus, like we're on that cycle. It's like I saw a beautiful illustration of it on the UNC Barstool Twitter. It was a triangle. It's like oh, and then okay, all right, oh, it's a constant triangle that we've been on. So the real question is, what version of that and what version of Duke is going to show up in Duke Carolina on Saturday? And then something else I wanted to get into really real quick is just like, I'm really excited for this game, even though, get my foot out of the way, damn it. I'm really excited because, you know, Duke Carolina, and I've talked about this on the ACC show a lot here lately. It's like, it's like almost a universal principle that it doesn't matter what's going on with Carolina and Duke. It just doesn't matter. It's like they could, like this season, the first time they played down at Duke, Carolina won. Duh. It's like it was the first time that both teams have played each other and both teams be unranked in like a long time. And it was still, and the game, and obviously due to COVID and no fans and everything, like the game did not get the typical hype going in that it usually would. But yet it still turned into an absolute thriller, and Carolina in the end won. And so that's why I'm super excited for this one. And the same could be said last year when Carolina and Duke played at Carolina. Carolina was having one of the first losing seasons it's had in over a decade. And yet still, and Duke was on, a nice little peak. They were one of the top teams in the country, yet Carolina still made it. I mean, people did not, I don't think people gave Carolina much of a chance. That game went double overtime. I was very fortunate. It was my first Carolina Duke game I got to go to as a member of the media. So even better, like I got access, like I was in the post-game press conference with Roy and Coach K, and it was unbelievable. And it turned into arguably the best Carolina Duke match we've ever seen. Like double overtime, Wendell Moore, Trey Jones, hitting these ridiculous shots to send it to overtime. Wendell Moore was the one that won it. It just unbelievable. And yet Carolina was having the worst season it's had in a long time, and nobody gave Carolina really a chance to win that game. And yet that's what we were dealt. So I'm very excited going into Saturday's game because it's like there's a lot on the line here for Carolina, Duke, and others. I mean, Carolina, basically, I believe that whoever wins this game. Now, I didn't initially say this, and I actually didn't say this earlier on the show, but the more I think about it and just the way things tend to go, I'm going to have to say whoever wins this Carolina Duke game, assuming they win that game and then make a respectable or at least fairly decent run, they win a couple of games in the ACC tournament here in a couple of weeks, will make the tournament. I'm not 100% sure that the winner of this Carolina Duke game, if they leave in the first round of the ACC tournament, they're going to make the NCAA tournament. I'm not 100% sure on that. But the point still stands that regardless of the ACC tournament, the winner of this game has a chance to make the NCAA tournament, and then the loser probably will not and will go to the NIT. So not only that's on the line, but then, NC State, over in Raleigh, I mean, they're kind of on the bubble as well. And, the word on the street is that if Carolina wins against Duke, NC State apparently could have a very good chance to make the NCAA tournament as well. And then there's a lot of ACC tournament seeding on the line, depending on the winner of this game. So there's a lot at stake here, which is why I'm so excited for this game. Because if this game the universal principle that Carolina and Duke is going to be a thriller, even if both teams are not having a good season at all, you put stakes on the line, it's only going to amplify it even more. So I'm really excited for that. Let me get into Dak Prescott real quick. I talked about this a little bit earlier too. Dak Prescott supposedly wants just under Patrick Mahomes level money. So not quite, he's not going to ask for what Patrick Mahomes is getting, a $500 million. But he wants to be paid just under that, supposedly. And to me, Lamar Jackson is on that level. Josh Allen is on that level. Deshaun Watson is on that level. I think Kyler Murray could potentially get on that level. But Dak Prescott is not on that level. Now, I'd preface, and I always say this, this Dak Prescott saga with the contract that seems to never want to end. As you know, we were having these same conversations a year ago, and now here they come again. I have changed the way I look at this and situations like it, because I tend to try and put myself in the athlete's shoes and have more empathy for their situation, as opposed to saying, oh, well, he isn't worth that money, like we see on, the networks all day long, he ain't worth that, or why was he not, like I don't go that route. I tend, again, I have more empathy, because these are real people. Forget athlete, forget football player, basketball. These are people. These are humans. These are people's lives and families and real situations that we're dealing with here. So, yes, you should try and get every penny that you are worth. And I think Dak Prescott should be paid very well, because I think he's an above average quarterback. I do not think he's an elite quarterback, but he's above average. He's a great leader in the locker room. They love him in Dallas. And all those things combined, and here's another question you got to ask yourself is, now a year ago, I'll just be completely transparent with you. A year ago, I was a little different in the way I looked at this, and I didn't have a lot of empathy. And I was like, nah, he isn't worth that. He's not, because he's not worth Mahomes-ish or just under Mahomes money. He's not. Even including inflation, he's not. But he is worth being paid very well. Now, it's tricky because, and I don't remember exactly what he was offered, but the Cowboys offered him a long-term, fairly a nice deal last year, and Dak turned it down. I don't think the pay was quite what he was looking for, but it wasn't even as much of the pay as it was. I'm pretty sure they offered him 3 years and he wanted 4, or it was he wanted 4 and they offered him, or he wanted 5 and they offered him 4, or basically they offered him a year under what he wanted. He wanted a little bit more security, and that wasn't what they offered, and he turned it down and got franchise tagged. I do not think Dak Prescott should be franchise tagged again. I do think he should be paid, just not just under Mahomes' money. I think it should be good money, upper tier NFL money, considering where the market currently sits due to people like Patrick Mahomes. But do I think he should be paid just under Patrick Mahomes' level? I can't go that far. No. But on the other side, if you're the Cowboys, you got to get this deal done. And again, not Patrick Mahomes level money. You offer him a good, nice sum of money, upper tier money. And if he turns it down, at the end of the day, if he turns it down, he turns it down. You can't, which obviously they're not, but you can't live and feel like, oh, what if he turns, you put him a good offer on the table. And if he turns it down, it's just like, well, we tried again. We're trying to do, so, it's a tricky situation. But if you're the Cowboys, you have to at least try to get this done, offering him a good, really good deal. Not franchise. You can't. I don't think you should franchise tag him again. You need to offer him a good deal and get him locked up, because you have to ask yourself, if you're an owner, if you're team management, and fans, you need to take this in mind too when the next time this comes up with your team. What's the alternative? What's the alternative to Dak Prescott? Because there is a lot of quarterbacks out there. Sure, you can go get another one. Don't mean he's going to be very good. Doesn't even mean he's going to be solid. Good, above average quarterbacks are hard to come by. They don't just hang around on the streets for you to go and pick them up. You have to ask yourself, what's the alternative? It's fun to say, Dak Prescott ain't that great right now. But then when you don't have him and, you got whoever, no-name quarterback with a long last name that could barely even fit on his jersey that I've never even heard before. Now, how do you feel about it now? It's like you have to take that into account. What is the alternative? Do I want Dak, above average, good leader in the locker room, which is very important? Dallas loves him. Or do you want to just say, oh, well, screw him, he's not worth that type of money, let him walk, and then, again, no name that I've never heard of before. Would you rather have that? So, let me move on and actually finish up here, because I gotta keep moving. Keep moving here. I wanted to get to this topic of what would be my Star Wars trilogy if I could make one, because obviously, big Star Wars fan. And I was asked on TikTok the other day, if you could make your dream Star Wars trilogy or make the new trilogy, what would you do? And, at first I was a little, I don't know, for as obsessed about Star Wars as I've been since second grade, and now I'm about to be 25 in a couple of weeks. So that's a nice little chunk of time. It was tough because I was like, if I could just come up with an original trilogy, like just out of thin air, like I don't know what I would do. But then I got to thinking, you know what? I wouldn't do it that way. I would take something that we already know about and build a trilogy around it. And the more I thought about it, and I read some comments and heard other people's takes on things and what sounded appealing or what I would want to see, because think about it. What has the Skywalker Star Wars saga, all of it, mostly been centered around? Anakin, Vader, and if you're talking specifically the Skywalker saga, whether he was out in front, like in Revenge of the Sith and Rise of Skywalker, or kind of in the back, just a little bit of a background character that was pulling strings in the background, it's Palpatine, Darth Sidious, the Emperor. So what I would do if I could make the new trilogy that could be about anything I wanted, any period of time in the Star Wars universe I wanted, I would do a prequel. I would do a prequel that was based around Palpatine, Darth Plagueis, and essentially it would show, I guess, the first step. And again, this is why I wanted to do this on the show, even though I did a TikTok response to it yesterday, because I only had 60 seconds in that. All I could say was, oh, I do Palpatine. But I want to actually go in depth a little bit here and play with this. And then clip it and put it on TikTok. So I would do Palpatine, it would basically be based around the Palpatine story. Obviously you would have, little side things that, we would see and, learn new things, but it would kind of like how episode 1 to 3 specifically was basically based around Anakin Skywalker, and 4, 5, and 6 was kind of based around Vader and Luke, essentially. And their stories, it was, yeah, that's how I'll put that. 1, 2, and 3 is about Anakin and his fall. 4, 5, and 6 is about the aftermath of that, Vader, and then Luke it's Vader and Luke. It's the Skywalker saga. Duh. I would want to see that same type of situation about Palpatine. So, in episode 1, it would be, probably Palpatine as a teenager on Naboo, because that is where he's from. And, he grew. I would want to see, because this is so fascinating to me as a Star Wars nerd that I am, I would be fascinated to see Palpatine, because think about it. All we've ever seen out of Palpatine was him basically fucking showing you his hand and saying, how about that? Checkmate. How about that? It's always been Palpatine showing you what he's been planning for the last 10 fucking years. It's never been seeing him in the background, doing his work and his magic. Leia, I love the line that Leia had in episode 9 where she was, when they were talking about Palpatine somehow is back. And he's basically just been doing this and building the First Order and then the Final Order in the background, and Leia was like, yeah, he's always been in the background in the shadows pulling the strings. And I love that line because it was basically, if you could have a quote that basically summarized the whole thesis of the saga, it would be that. Or one of them, he's always been in the background pulling the strings. And that's essentially what we've always known about Palpatine, is he's been that shadowy figure in the background. And then the next movie, he's going to show up and show you this. And then we saw it again, episode 9. He's like, here I am again. Been planning this. Like, we saw in Return of the Jedi. Hey, been planning this. The Death Star actually is operational. So we've been seeing that. I want to see Palpatine in action. And I don't mean action as in battling Mace Windu again. I want to see some of that too. But I want to see him planning shit. I want to see everything that we saw come to pass in 1 through 9. I want to see this dude laying the groundwork for that. I mean, was he planning this from the time that he was a teenager, learning under Darth Plagueis, and then finally, we see Palpatine, telling the epic story to Anakin about, have you heard of Darth Plagueis the Wise? Telling him he killed him in his sleep and all that. I'm wondering. I mean, did he just randomly just decide, you know what, let me get him out of the way so I can do something? Or has he been planning this? I mean, Palpatine's always planning the whole thing. Has he been planning it since he was a teenager? And he's learning all this stuff from Plagueis in an attempt to steal his knowledge and his power. And ultimately, he is going to overthrow him and then continue to execute his master plan that he's maybe had since he was a teenager. And, on the night that he kills Plagueis, does he just wake up that morning? He's like, it's time. Let's do it. Like, I'm curious how far back this scheme goes. And so I really, now that I'm actually saying this stuff, I mean, I'm fascinated by that. I'm fascinated by how far back does this Palpatine scheme go? I mean, how long has he been planning this shit out? Like, I want to see it in action. And then I think that, so real quick, I think episode 1 would be Palpatine as a teenager, discovering that he has this, maybe, I don't know, obsession. Maybe I need to I haven't read the Plagueis book, by the way, so maybe some of this stuff is answered in that. I actually probably should read it now that I'm talking about all this, and I think I will. I mean, is he just like fascinated? I mean, does he gradually start to learn about the Force and the dark side? He's like, that's interesting. Like, and then, Plagueis discovers him, or he discovers Plagueis. Does he go to him and asks him for a fucking internship? I don't know. Like, does Plagueis find him and recruit him? Kind of like Palpatine did with Anakin. It's like, all right, let me groom this dude. He's got a little something here. Like, I don't know. So, to me, that would be episode 1. Episode 2 would be, Palpatine. I guess it's in a way Palpatine really kind of getting some power here. Kind of like how Anakin looked in episode 3, where he was like, all right, he's starting to peak a little bit. This dude is miles more powerful than he was in Attack of the Clones. That's kind of what I would want to see in Palpatine. Kind of Palpatine and Plagueis go on, this mission, or have something that they were battling in episode 2 together. And then the third episode would be, and now that I think about it, this is gradually becoming Revenge of the Sith, where Anakin overthrows the Jedi, only this is, an apprentice to the Master, not an apprentice to the whole frickin' Jedi Order. But, we see it in the shadows. Palpatine's planning maybe everything that we ended up seeing 1 through 9. He's starting to think and plan this stuff out. And then the night that he kills Plagueis, it's go time. And he executes it. No pun intended. He executes Plagueis. And then at the end of the movie, in some epic fashion, to end the trilogy, we see Darth Maul show up. Here he comes. And then that brings us pretty close to where we open at the Phantom Menace. To me, that would be a beautiful prequel to the prequel. A prequel all about Palpatine Plagueis, and it would ultimately end with Palpatine overtaking everything, beginning the process of his ultimate plan, and then here comes Maul in some epic way, and just, again, some type of hallway scene, kind of like Vader in Rogue One, Luke and Mandalorian. Sorry if you haven't seen it. If you're a Star Wars fan, I can't help you. You should have seen it by now. Some type of scene, like Maul, we saw him just wipe out the clone troopers in the final episode of Clone Wars Season 7. Something like that, just epic. And then he just like kneels down in front of Sidious. He's like, I'm yours. Let's do this thing. Like, to me, that would just, and then just roll credits. Like we see, here's how it would play out, the final scene. Maul just slices and dices whatever it is he's battling. Whether it's him trying to impress Palpatine, it's when he just meets Palpatine, or maybe he's doing it already for Palpatine. He does it, he slices and dices, and then he just kneels down in front of Sidious and then just says, whatever, and then at the end, all you see is just Sidious with that fucking little smile he does when he just sees his mastermind plan, his evil genius shit just happening right before his eyes, just as he planned. and then it would just be roll. It would be so epic. I'm actually very excited about this. I'm excited for something that is not even in probably the near future, but God, how cool would that be to see? So, that's it. That's it for the Wilbur and Gold Show, episode 22. Got a little bit of everything in there. Carolina Duke, Dak Prescott, Star Wars trilogies that I would make. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Today is Thursday, so we'll have another episode tomorrow on Friday. Probably I might introduce one of my new shows tomorrow. It might be the sports show, might be the Star Wars show. I might clip this last segment and make it a video. I don't know. But I might introduce a new show for you guys tomorrow, being Friday, kind of start off the weekend on the right note. So I'm excited about where we're heading on this channel. I appreciate you guys again for tuning in. And I'm excited to get to know you and kind of not continue because we haven't started shit yet, but just to build up this community. I'm excited. So Will Dalton, aka Wilbur and Gold. This has been the Wilbur and Gold Show. Hope you have a great rest of your Thursday. We'll see you next time. Do it. Palpatine. People get it. Do it.